For today's crop insurance webinar, we're going to be going through some online resources that we've put together and centrally located on our website for you to find. So we're going to start out by going to our website, the Kentucky Horticulture Council website. It's just kyhortcouncil.org. And this is the homepage. And you can find all of our different programs and initiatives and all the events we've got coming up. But we're going to go to programs and services and down to crop insurance for specialty crop growers. So on this page, you can find our webinar schedule, but this is our penultimate webinar. So we'll have one more next month in September. After that, y'all will just be able to find these videos through this page or on YouTube. We've got this one page I'll show you real quick, and it's got all our videos that we've done, the recorded videos, as well as the recorded webinars. And some of them even have the PDFs of the PowerPoints or the presentations used. So you can click on that and download it to read along while you watch, or even just save it in a binder. But we'll go back to the crop insurance homepage. And we're going to click on this link that says crop insurance resource links. So this is the page where we've combined all these resources we found over the past year while we've been doing research on crop insurance for these videos. So up at the first resources are the Kentucky Hort Council created resources. So these are things we've put together during our research and our prep for these videos. We've tried to put some of the large amounts of information on some certain crop insurance policies into small, readable, quick, just kind of refreshers or introductions for you. This is our newest one. It's the crop insurance little handout on crop insurance for cut flowers. So this just has some information on some of the policies that might benefit cut flower growers. So first up, I've got the whole farm revenue protection, and that's everything on your farm under one policy. We've talked about this program a lot, but a lot of cut flower growers may not realize that their cut flowers would fall under this policy. So whether your cut flowers is your sole commodity on your farm, or you also grow tobacco, or you've got cattle, and this is your hobby or your side commodity, your cut flower sales would be combined under that whole farm revenue. And new this year, we've also talked about a lot is the micro farm policy. And this is for growers that have less than $100,000 in approved revenue. And we've seen a lot of our cut flower growers fall into that category. And this policy is perfect for those cut flower growers because there's a lot less reporting that's required. So you don't have to separate it out by the types of flowers you've grown, each different variety. You just say, this was all the money I made on my cut flowers this year. That's all that's required. And the last one I've got on here is the non-insured Crop Disaster Assistance Program, or NAP. So this is available for cut flower growers. A lot of people have asked me if any of the FSA policies or programs are available for cut flowers, and the NAP is one of those. But the flowers have to be grown under glass, plastic, or outside in containers. So this can either be like a greenhouse, a high tunnel, even a shade cloth, structure with a shade cloth, not just some shade cover draped across the beds, but this needs to be a structure with glass or some type of plastic covering, or outside in containers. So this wouldn't cover anyone that's growing in the field, but if you've got a high tunnel that you're growing in, like many of our growers, those flowers would be covered if there was some type of damaging weather event or natural event like an earthquake that caused damage to those crops. So going back to the resource page, we've also got some things like our record keeping workbook. This is something we put together going through all these policies and programs to come up with hopefully a helpful workbook that will cover your bases no matter what policy or program you end up going with. So this is going to have a lot of records required by this notebook that you may not need for the policy you end up getting, but it's always good to have those records on hand just in case, especially for like production, your own usage. So like on this one, you can remember, if you rotated your crops, where you had a specific commodity in which year. And if you're transitioning to organic, this is something that might be useful as well. And then we've got some things that are more crop insurance based. So the uses of the crops. So if you're selling fresh, processed, or direct marketed, those things are going to affect your crop insurance policy application. We've also have some things that deal with income and expenses. These are going to be important for whole farm revenue protection policies because you'll need this type of information for your taxes. So this workbook is available to find on our website, and you can print it, you can download it. In the PDF, there's only one copy of each chart, each page, but you can easily print multiples because some of them do go by crop or some go by year. So moving on down, you can find the rest of our infographics and little short summaries we've made over the past year. But I want to look at the USDA Risk Management Agency resource page. So this has all of our USDA resources combined onto one page. So these are things we've found from the Risk Management Agency. These are all available on their website, but we've selected specific ones for horticulture crops to put on here, so you don't have to sort through all of the things they offer. You'll remember the Risk Management Agency is the one that creates all the crop insurance policies, like the multi-peril crop insurance policies and the whole farm revenue protection policies. So I've got a link to their website on here, so that way you can find your own resources, go through their own pages. But if you'd click on this whole farm revenue sheet, this is their description of their own policy. So anything that's listed here, for sure is fact. This goes through the whole policy. It tells you the availability, like for this one, it's all counties in all 50 states. It talks about what causes of loss would be acceptable. Gives you important closing dates, cancellation dates, tells you more about the insurance period and what might be required for you to report during that time. It talks about what goes on during the coverage, what type of coverage you can plan to expect to have. And then it will go through some of the different coverage levels and tell you, how many commodities you might need or the revenue that you'll need to fit that coverage level. Also has things like eligibility, the information you provide. So this is going to be your records. But remember, with the whole farm revenue protection, the Schedule F from your taxes is going to be the key piece of information you're going to need. Also, we'll tell you what to do when you have a loss and what you can expect that process to look like. They also have some web pages on organic, specialty, and nursery crops. Those are, can fit under different policies or programs, but they kind of just summarize a little bit of what you can expect the differences to be. And then I do want to look at RMA cost estimator tool again. We made a whole video going through this cost estimator tool, but I just wanted to show you that there is a link on our website. And when you're looking at it, you can use the plan comparison. That one is a quick little estimator, but the personalized estimate is the one we used before, and the one that would probably help you compare plans easily. So you select your commodity year, which is, we'll just say 2022. This tool does take a little bit to load, so you just have to give it time. Now I'm going to select whole farm revenue protection. If you were to select a different type of insurance plan, like APH, that would be like the multi-peril crop insurance, where you're covering one crop. So we want to select the whole farm because that's what a lot of our horticulture crops will fall under. Now, because that's available in every state, we do have to select the state we're looking to cover and the county. So I'll select where I live in Callaway. Now, I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but I wanted to show you that how to get started. So when we selected whole farm revenue, it gives us the two options: the whole farm revenue protection, like we clicked initially, and then I'm going to go ahead and select the micro farm. And from the video, you'll remember this is the screen where we inputted all our fictional numbers. So it looked at the allowable revenue for each year, the past 5 years for these policies. And then we had to select our commodity. And you'll remember with the micro farm, it is under one commodity code. So you don't have to select individual commodities, but with the whole farm, you would have to select each individual commodity. Okay, and we'll go back to the USDA page. You can find the rest of this on that page. We've got another tool, the agent locator tool, you can use to find a crop insurance agent near you. So now I want to go to our FSA Resources page. The FSA has the programs NAP and TAP specifically, and those are two programs we've talked about a lot. But the FSA also has some great resources that producers can use to find which policies or programs best fit them, like the Disaster at a Glance fact sheet. So this one, it's helping you compare what is covered. So on the left side, it lists the disaster program, so like crop insurance. Up at the top, we saw the NAP and the TAP that we talk about quite frequently. And it tells you who offers that. So FSA, or in crop insurance case, it's RMA. And then it tells you all the events or disasters that would be covered by that policy. So you can see crop insurance covers everything listed, from blizzard, tornado, flood, etc. Some of these other things we haven't really talked about because a lot of them pertain to cattle or livestock. But you can see things like farm loans, which we haven't really talked about, but that would be more to help you recover from those events than prepare for those events. And you can see up at the top, the NAP and the TAP, they cover almost everything, but there are a few exceptions, and that would only depend on if it was caused by an eligible disaster. We've talked about those types of things before. Like, for example, the NAP would cover you if you had if there was a volcanic eruption and some fires started because of that and it burned your field, then the NAP would cover you. But this is a good fact sheet. It's kind of hard to print out. It's supposed to be like a folded thing, so like a booklet. That's why it's laid out kind of funny in PDF form, but it's pretty easy to scroll through. They also have the Disaster Assistance Discovery tool. And I believe we went through this in a video as well. But this one will help you see, you have to have an actual disaster in mind. So if you can think of a historical event, so like you knew a tornado happened in this county, and you knew the specific dates, you can go through this pretty easily, and it would tell you what policies or programs would be good for you if that happened. So it's a little tricky to work through, but if you know of an event you can use as your event requested, so you can see it's asking you when it occurred, and you got to know the month. But once that happens, you can select what damage you had and what the cause was, and then it'll tell you what programs would have covered you if you had suffered that disaster. Now going back, they do have, I do have the NAP and TAP separate in here. So the FSA has some pretty good fact sheets on their programs. So this is the Tree Assistant Program, and this will tell you everything you need to know about this program. It tells you what's eligible. So with the TAP, it's trees, bushes, and vines that are used either for nursery trees or orchard trees. Tells you anything that could be considered a loss, and then it goes through how to apply for it. Remember, you apply for this program after disaster. And it also helps you calculate what your payment might be. So it's a pretty quick read through if you're having questions about TAP. Goes straight to the source at the Farm Service Agency. And the same with the NAP, Non-Insured Crop Disaster Assistance Program. It tells you everything you need to know about that program. It does give you, I believe, phone numbers or tells you where to go if you've got any more questions. And I think that's it for the FSA resources. I've only got a couple more. So I do want to point out, I've got this Midwest Organic and Sustainable Education Service record keeping workbook. They are now called Marble Seed. And I was having a little trouble finding this workbook on their website now, but luckily we have it saved for you right here. So this one is a workbook that has helped me create the KHC record keeping workbook, as well as some others. This one is more focused on organics, specifically records you need to transition to organic, be certified as organic, as well as crop insurance based. It is 33 pages, but they do have multiples of each page. So there's really not as many. It's a very in-depth workbook. So if you want to take a look through it, you might find some things that you think are more applicable to your operation than some others. And the last one is a multi-peril crop insurance article. So this is just basics about the MPCI. We've talked about it a couple times in some of our videos, but this one doesn't affect a lot of horticulture crops. So we've not focused on it as much. There are some horticulture crops that are covered by it, but here in Kentucky, there's only a couple. So this one is fairly good article about the basics of multi-peril crop insurance. It does help you look through some of the different coverage levels, basic and optional units. So that depends on how you split up your land to be used for the crop insurance application. But it does go through in pretty good detail some things you need to know before starting the application process. And then the final thing I want to go through really quickly is an Oklahoma State University Extension publication. So this is titled, "Is Rainfall Index Pasture, Rangeland, and Forage Insurance Right for You?" So this is all about the Rainfall Index. We've talked about it a couple of times. We did a short little video just on the rainfall index. And the rainfall index mainly affects pasture, rangeland, and forage, and also hay, but it does cover apiculture, so honeybees. And I would suggest someone that has a lot of colonies, multiple colonies, this might be something they want to look into. If you'll remember, the only insurable cause of loss is a lack of rain or a decrease in the amount of rain. This article that I've linked here does a really good job at going through how the program works. It tells you all the different things that a farmer has to decide, like the acreage they're choosing to insure. It talks about what the grid the USDA uses for whatever land you select to insure with this program. It talks you through the coverage level, so the percent of rainfall. So if you say, I want to insure it at 80% of the average rainfall, then if it drops below that 80%, you would get a payment. Talks you through productivity factor, which is how you think you compare to the county value. So if you think you produce better or worse than the county average. And then it also goes through the 11 intervals that you can choose from. And all those intervals are 2-month periods. So you would select those 2-month periods that you think are most critical to whatever you're producing. And if you have a decrease in rain during that time, then you would receive a payment. This is something important for people that have multiple colonies. You'd want to select the 2-month periods when your bees you think are most active, or this is the most critical time that you don't want to take a chance on having a drought through. I know here in Western Kentucky, we went a good month without a good amount of rain. So that's something, if you had insured and your bees actually didn't produce as much, or you lost some colonies, this would have been a good program to be participating in. This does go through some numbers that they found through research in Oklahoma dealing with the rainfall index, but it does give you a good picture about comparing the different coverage levels, the different productivity factors, and seeing some of the price calculations. So I recommend reading this one if this program is any interest to you, because it's a really good resource. And that is it for the resources we have gathered now. I'm always adding to it. So check back frequently. We will link this resource page in the description of the video, so you can click through these yourself. And we'll see you next month for our final crop insurance webinar. We'll be kind of recapping and maybe even have a crop insurance agent as a guest to answer a few questions.